week, everyone. I wasn't expecting to be back here quite so soon in my dressing gown, but for my year in review this year, let's get over here where it's better light for a minute. So for my year in review this year, I am going to do one part, which is this bit, sort of the bigger lessons I've learned and what I want to take forward from that. I'm going to do another part with my top sort of sewing patterns and fails, so I'm going to do that, and then possibly a third part of the let's going forward thing. So I'm doing it a bit differently to last year. If you want to watch last year's, I'll link them. I took you much more through the year compass and also the sewing year review that I've done, and I also did a bit in Vlogmas already. So if you're sort of in that sewing review bit, there's lots to look at. So I'm going to take you over here because while we start talking, I'm going to finish sorting my hair out. So I've been thinking a lot about how I wanted to review this year. For me, I don't just do an end of year review. If you are a regular viewer, you'll know I review like my sewing plans for the different seasons. I review whole sets of patterns, and all of these become sort of reflections, and I've done wardrobe reviews at different points and so on. So for me, this is just kind of part of that whole bigger picture of just trying to be as conscious as I can rather than sort of blindly stumbling through, which I have done before. And I'm not saying that people need to do a review to not, otherwise they are stumbling through. This is just my choice of what works better for me, basically. And what works better for me is honestly reviewing things. So I am going to get dressed, and then I think whilst I tidy my sewing room, we can just keep talking, and hopefully I can show you my new gadget as well. So I used the year compass, which I have already linked, but I'll link again, to have my thoughts. And I didn't fill everything in. I don't always fill everything in, but I filled in what I wanted to, and we'll probably do more. I went back and read the last 2 years worth actually as well, and then I'm going to turn what I've thought into what I share with you. There might be some specific bits, but it asks for like a title of a book. If 2024 was a book about my life, what would the title be? I think it would be something like Stitching Through the Chaos, or Stressed Seams, or basically something that summarises that 2024 had some extremely difficult and stressful moments, and sewing and doing this with you lovely people is what kept me going. And so yeah, some kind of title for a book like that, like Stitching Through the Chaos or something, I don't know. I'd love, at the end of today, if you could think of a good title for that book, let me know. It also asked me for 3 words from last year, and so one of them would definitely be community. When I say last year, I know I'm just at the tip of 2024, but I'm talking about it as the last year, sort of as the year that's gone by. So 3 words, so definitely community, definitely sort of an opportunity, that word, and I'll talk more about that as we go on. And not 100% about the third word, but probably exploration, because it's certainly something that I really got so inspired by during 2024, was just exploring the patterns and lots of patterns of the same genre. I don't know if that's the same word. yeah, just like going deep diving into things. They're not mine. Sorry. You know, when you live in a house where people are all sort of at that stage where they're similar size, and you get something that's not yours in your drawer. Right. So, yeah, I think those three words. I think opportunity, as in I was given opportunities, but also as in I took opportunities where I could find them, and I think that particularly came through. You're gonna have to bear with me if I'm turning my back on you. I'm just looking for what to wear. Things that came up, such as needing to drive backwards and forwards to Kent a lot, meant that actually I searched for the opportunity within that. That's going to be one of those rare days today where I put a pair of jeans on. I literally own 2 pairs of jeans, and I don't know why, but I'm just in the mood to put a pair on today. So yeah, I took the opportunity to think, how do I make driving through Kent a lot and having to do the M25 a lot, how do I make that into a more pleasant experience? I don't really know how else to put that. Just put my top on. The other thing I most certainly learnt last year is how having something within my zone of control really helped me when life felt out of control. And life certainly did feel at times in 2024 like it was way beyond my control. And I mean, I'm not someone who needs to control everything, but when you can't help, you can't change anything, you've just got to wait because people need time to get better, or people have just got to work through things, and all you want to do because you love them is help them. It is helpful to then have something that you can have a zone of influence over. And for me, having my sewing and my lovely community on here with all you guys meant that on those days where it was just waiting for an outcome, waiting to see, giving it 24 hours because that's what somebody's body needed or just services needed, I could go and sit down at my machine and I could create something rather than just feeling that I was completely helpless. So there were times when I got frustrated because I wanted to sew. You can't see what's down here. Where I couldn't sew what I wanted because my brain didn't have the capacity, and I just needed quick wins. And actually, to start with, I over agonised about it, and then I quite quickly realised I needed to be okay about that because it's there for me, and it's okay that I made 6 sweatshirts, t-shirts, and made jersey tops and dresses, and because I just couldn't get my head in gear to create or follow a complicated pattern for quite a chunk of time. And that meant that I had to let go of my expectations on myself, and also I needed to feel success, so I needed to be sure that I was sewing wins. Well, if you're going to need to sew a win, it's got to be something that you know works, and so trying out new patterns was going to be risky unless you've got a mindset where a win is that you've tried it, not a win is that you can wear it. And definitely for 2024, one of the things that certainly happened was I really kept pushing my mindset about what I expected from a toile, and being very clear with myself that a toile doesn't need to be worn, doesn't need to be finished, doesn't need to be taken to fruition, and that if I get part way through and go, this is not for me, then it's okay to stop. Because I think sometimes we're made to think we have to finish things, have to finish projects, have to finish ideas, gotta get it done so we can tick it off the list. Well, if it's half done, can I tick it off? So the Aeronite pants were a really good example of me going, nope, that is not what I thought they were going to be. Nope, this is not for me. Now, honestly, I agree with a lot of people who've said maybe if I'd sewn them in a more drapey fabric, I might have felt differently. But at the time when I sewed them and I went, these are not looking how I want them to, I gave myself complete and utter permission to take them, put them on the naughty shelf, which is up here, and just say, nope, I'm not looking at you again. Nope, I'm not dealing with you because you didn't bring me what I needed. And it's not wasteful because they're there. If I want to return to them at any time, I can. And when I'm in the right place, I might want that mental challenge. And, you know, that is why my top trouser pattern of 2024 was the chanterelle pants. I made a toile which I never finished because I made it out of a fabric I didn't care about, and I knew that I wouldn't wear them, so why would I finish them? But they taught me everything I needed to know. I did all the adjustments that I needed to do, and then I was able to sew the gorgeous Madras pair, the lovely blue pair, the jungle ones. I've sewn the wintry pair, and when I need a project where I'm going to create a trouser and I'm going to be happy, and I'm going to know that I'm going to have something that I want to wear, because this is the thing I've also realised is even if I create something that I like the look of, I might not wear it. And that was really quite a big thing at 2023 into 2024, was why am I not wearing these things that I like the look of? So 2024, giving myself permission to go, nope, not for me. That is not something I need to pursue, to do, to push through, because sometimes we feel we're going to push through and sometimes it's worth it. But knowing that I can just say, no, that's not working for me right now, I'm putting it aside. There's been a lot of discussion this year in the sewing community about WIPs, so works in progress, or UFOs, and also sewing preference of style of how you work. So obviously some people get completely horrified at the thought of sewing multiple projects at once. Other people get excited by that. And so there's been a lot of discussion about how does it make people feel. Luckily, I'm pleased to say no one said one way is right or wrong, but it has made some people feel like, actually, I don't have to do it this way, because sometimes the things that we take on either from being at school or being taught about sewing or any of those things can, like by osmosis, give us an opinion about how we think we should do something, and we need sometimes the permission to go, oh, I don't have to do it like that. So I've had quite a lot of discussions with people this year about batch cutting. I love it because This room I'm tidying right now is where I work, where I sew, where I vlog, where I edit, and there is no room in here to cut. So when I want to cut things out, I have to get a wooden board out, either in the hallway, on the bed, on the sitting room floor, and then I've got to get the fabric out and the patterns out and the pattern weights. So batch cutting works for me because I can get right in the zone, I can get good amount of things cut out, put in zippy pockets, and then when I've got 30 minutes in the morning to sew before I start work, I can do it because I've not got to go through the whole cycle. Some people can do the whole cycle without having to put things away in between. That's just not how my environment, my life, anything is set up. So there's no point trying to be that way because it's just not going to work for me. But for some people I know, like trying to do multiple things at once would be very stressful. I completely appreciate that the way I do things would be very stressful, but I think the key message is do what works for you, but it's okay to flex and it's okay to try something different. It's okay to change it if it's not working for you, and it's okay to try new things and new ways of working, because there have been other times this year where I have gone from start to finish in a project, like when I went away with Christine. And I know that if I hadn't done that like that, there's a good chance I wouldn't have done it, because that was the bell dress by Stylark. And there's a pretty high chance if I hadn't done that with Christine like that, I probably would have given up. And I probably would have gone, not for me, too tricky, haven't got the brain space. But by being there with Christine, going, right, we're going to do this, and just going for it, it was a really lovely luxury to be able to do that, actually. So that tells me I do like that. And maybe with some of the projects I've put off this year, because there have been things I've wanted to sew this year that I haven't, and maybe those projects need me to just have a day where I'm like, nope, this is the day where I do the peony dress, or this is the day that I'm going to do, what's that dress, the Holland Park dress by Nina Lee. So I think that's where we can learn to try different things on different days and that sort of thing. I think this year I really, as I've mentioned a bit before, enjoyed the exploration side of sewing, the trying things out. I've always kind of done that sort of little like, I wonder if this will work, but this has taken it to another level of, which one do I want? Which one do I like? And I know the infamous quilted jackets, which I can't guarantee I won't mention in 2025, but have been mentioned a lot at the end of 2024. It was like the last third of 2024 was quite about that, but it felt pretty mammoth. It felt like the biggest like project, like over months, compared to what I've been talking about, which is all these, what I see as quick wins. This was a months of like shopping and finding the quilts. So from the fruition through to completion was months. And I really, I did at some points live and breathe just thinking about different ways I could quilt, or different jackets that could be made into quilted jackets. And so what did I learn, apart from which quilted jackets I like? I learned that I love a deep dive. I love really taking my mind out, and with them, those ones I didn't finish. Something else I learned is, don't be afraid to offer something that you don't want to other people. I gave away, have I given away 2? Not sure now. I've given away 1, which has been made up into a finished product, which is brilliant. Maybe I have given away 2, I don't know. But I've gave one away I completely refashioned one, so that's another thing, is not required to take it apart. And I'll tell you what, I kind of gained that idea from a lovely lady. I think your name is Alison. She lives North Kent, I think. And she talks about the fact that now she's a bit further along in her sewing journey, she's gone back to some of her original makes and is refinishing them and redoing them and taking bits apart. And I was like, whoa. And it made me think, you know, just because something's done doesn't mean it's done. And actually, yeah, so I looked at one of the quilted jackets and I went, never going to wear it in that colour, but I could unpick the sides, requilt a new fabric over the top. It was a thin cotton, and then it could become a jacket that I will wear. So that looking at things and going, doesn't have to be finished, doesn't have to be done, this might just be the end of your journey, was refreshing this year. I liked that. So I would definitely take that away. Oh, while I'm here, look, I found these tea towels in a charity shop. This one, and this one. The quilted jackets taught me I don't have to finish, I can take it apart, I can give something away and people will be pleased, not offended, and if they don't want it, they don't take it. I also learned that that's one of the ways I like to sew, is to really focus on a particular piece of clothing or a particular thing and just go for it, but not having to do everything to a finished, perfect, polished product. So I will certainly be doing that in 2025. I will certainly be doing the sweatshirt one, which I've already started thinking about. But there we go. So that's the end of review part 1, which was sort of the big lessons I've learned this year. If you want a more sewing focused review, that's coming in part 2. Probably not going to do sewing stats or rating all my sews, unless you're all really desperate for either of those. So do let me know. That doesn't mean I won't change my mind. But yeah, so next one will be kind of like top patterns of 24 that I'd love to sew. I'm pretty sure you can guess some of them, but there'll be, and then either in that one or in part 3 we will do 2025, the year ahead. What's it going to be? What are my intentions? What do I want to create? What do I want to do? So we're going to do it like this, I think. So yeah, not all of them will be this deep, but there you go.